Happy New Year, guys! And since New Year na, meron na rin, hey, new me. Hey! And we're gonna show you how you can build yourself in After Effects. And we're starting right. So to start off this effect, of course, we're gonna have to film ourselves pretending to be split into two people. Si left Martin and si right Martin. And you're gonna be needing a tripod for this because when we're gonna mask the layers later, there has to be zero camera movement. So you're gonna have to make sure that the timing for both takes is correct because you wanna make sure that the separation of the two Martins is seamless. Siyempre kapag mag-move na to the left and mag-move na to the right, you would want them to do it at the exact same time. And of course, if magpapasahan sila ng lines, like what I did in the intro, you're gonna have to time it in a way na the left Martin will pause on moments kung saan magsasalita si right Martin and vice versa. So sobrang daming beses ko itong tinake kasi ang hirap talaga to get the perfect timing wherein si left Martin and si right Martin, hindi sila nagsasabay na nagsasalita. Siyempre mukha naman kaming tanga kung sabay kami nagsasalita, di ba? So what I did is I placed my slippers dun sa floor wherein I stood. Para when I finished doing the takes for left Martin, I know na where to stand when I have to do the takes for right Martin. Para I can really stand at the center of the scene. Para mas madali siya i-edit after. Actually, for every take that I did for the left Martin and the right Martin, I had to import it again to After Effects to see if the timing was correct. So filming for this was really challenging because I had to do it multiple times. But feel ko na pull off ko naman. And of course, for the final shot, I had to film myself accidentally walking in the room while the two Martins were talking in front of the camera. Then after that, I imported all of my footage in After Effects. So the first thing that we have to do once we have all of our clips here in After Effects is of course to line up all of the footage. So we have to make sure to find the time wherein they separate. So for the left side Martin, this is the point where he tries to move away from the center. So I'm gonna click Shift 1 to place a marker on this part of the timeline. And on this point, supposedly fully nakahiwalay na dapat si left Martin and si right Martin. I'm gonna click Shift 3 to create another marker on this part of the layer. So I'm gonna lower down the opacity of the left side layer to 50% so that I can see the right side Martin layer. And then I can line up where the left side Martin and the right side Martin will separate. So if I click 1, mapupunta ako dito sa marker 1. And what we need to do is of course to line up wherein both the left side Martin and the right side Martin will split up and separate. So as you can see now, una si left side Martin mag-separate. So maybe we can move it a bit forward para magsa-separate na rin siya. Para sabay sila ng left side layer and ng right side layer mag-separate. So what we have to do now is to create a mask on the right Martin layer para he'll only show up pag magsa-split up na si left Martin and si right Martin. So a mask in After Effects is a shape or a path or an outline that's used to modify layer effects and properties. Kaya pwede rin ako lumabas dito. So I created a mask on this layer of this video so that only this part of the entire video will be seen. So to create a mask, all you have to do is to click the pen tool or the shape tool and then click the layer on where you want to create a mask on. So the right side Martin, that's where I want to create a mask. So I'll click that and then I'll just create a shape of the mask. So I just want this part of the video to be seen. So I'll also bump up the mask feather so mukhang mas seamless yung pag-blend ng both layers. And then from here, you'll see na medyo nakikita mo na yung effect. Pero syempre, sa movies, diba, pag nakikita mo, medyo nagsiseparate yung body mo from another. Medyo parang meron konting mesh or nahihila yung katawan, na-alter yung reality. Alter yung reality, diba? Parang nahihila ka from your body. Eh, ito parang mukha lang nag-appear lang siya out of nowhere, so hindi siya realistic. So what we can do to make it better is to keyframe the opacity. So we start at 0. And then at this point, biglang magkakaroon ng right side Martin and then lalabas siya. And then we can also keyframe the mask path of the right side Martin para hindi mukhang putol si left side Martin. So from this, mukha nang naputol si left side Martin. So let's create a keyframe at this part and then move it accordingly na lang. And then as it moves, the mask path also moves dito sa pinakagitna nilang dalawa. So from here, you can already kind of see the final effect. Pero yeah, mas magmumukha siyang realistic kapag nalagyan natin ng more effect. So what we can do first is to apply the Liquify effect on both of the layers. So what we can do is click number 1 and mapupunta tayo dun sa marker that we created. And then add a keyframe and also sa number 3. And then somewhere in the middle, let's create a guide line wherein kung saan talaga yung pinaka-center nila, kung saan sila dun mag-mesh. So from here, we can push and push and push and push and push the left side marten into the guideline that we created. Para mukhang dun siya nanggaling and dun siya nahila. Diba? Mukha siyang slime. And then after I do it sa left side layer, of course, i-apply ko rin siya sa right side layer. So similarly, lalagay ko rin yung Liquify effect sa right side layer and then lalagyan ko ng keyframes both dun sa number 1 and sa number 3 na marker na ginawa natin. And then somewhere in the middle where nagme-mesh si left side, dun rin magme-mesh si right side. So i-pull natin yung mga body parts into the middle, into the guide that we created. Ayan, so mukha na siyang parang jelly na hinila silang dalawa pa gitna. Kasi syempre, from one naging dalawa sila. Nag-separate sila. Identical twins. And then another thing that we can do to make it more realistic and more parang mas sci-fi is to have it parang medyo nagbo-blur siya in between. What we need to do is to create an adjustment layer. So an adjustment layer is basically a layer that whatever effect that you put on this layer will be applied to all of the layers below the adjustment layer. So what we need to do is to search for the vector blur effect and apply it to the adjustment layer para ma-apply siya to the layers below. So both the left marten and the right marten ma-applyan ng vector blur effect. So this is what the vector blur does. It kinda like makes it warpy, alien-y, medyo parang portal siya. Diba? So, parang portal nga kasi doon ang galing si second marten. Diba? Habang naghihiwalay sila parang shoink, may bagong marten. So we'll just be creating keyframes dun sa places where we created keyframes dun sa ginawa natin sa Liquify effect. So click on the stopwatch for the amount dito sa vector blur dun sa 3 positions kung saan tayo nag-keyframe for the Liquify effect para same rin yung timing ng pag-warp nilang dalawa, di ba? And of course, dito sa start and sa finish, 0 na dapat yung amount ng vector blur because syempre wala na dapat warpiness dun sa area na yun. And then just create a mask in between the 2 martens. Ayan, tapos let's add a little bit of feather para mas mag-blend siya with the other layers. And then let's take a look at what we've done so far. Ayan. Diba, mukhang galing siya sa other dimension. Like, buwank. And there's another effect that we can add to make it more techy. So the technical term for it is called Chromatic Aberration. So that's when the lens incorrectly refracts or bends the colors. So nakikita mo yung red, blue, and green na nakahiwalay imbes na nakapatong siya on top of each other. So to apply the Chromatic Aberration effect, first what you have to do is to pre-comp all of your layers and then duplicate it 2 times. And then rename it to red, green, and blue. And then we're gonna look for the set channels effect and then apply it to the red composition. And then we're gonna turn off the green channel and the blue channel for the red layer. And then as you can see, red na lang of the video yung nakikita natin. And then we're gonna do the same for the green and the blue channels. So for the green channel, we're gonna turn off the blue layer. Sorry, the blue channel. We're gonna turn off the blue channel and the red channel. And then as you can see, green na lang yung nakikita natin. So i-hide ko muna yan. And then for the blue layer naman, ito-turn off natin yung green channel and yung red channel. And then yung blue na lang yung makikita natin. So I'm gonna turn back the red and the green layers on. And then I'm gonna change their blending mode to add. So basically what we did is we separated the three color channels RGB. So we have one layer for red, one layer for green, and one layer for blue. And since nakapatong-patong sila, yung nakikita lang natin is yung normal. And then, as you can see, if we move it kahit konti lang, so I'm gonna move it 2 frames to the right. Sorry, ang konti nun. Move it 5 frames to the right. Ayan, makikita mo may konting teal na here, may konting teal na here. And if we move the blue layer 5 frames to the left, makikita mo na yung chromatic aberration effect. So makikita mo yung mga reds and blues and greens na hindi siya naka-line up properly. So I'm gonna place them back to normal. And then what we do next is to look for the optics compensation layer and then apply it to the red pre-comp. And then what this does is basically the fisheye effect. Ayan. So makikita natin yung teal colors sa border ng video natin. No? And then we have to click this reverse lens distortion para basically pag ganun yung lens distortion. So let's go to the area of the separation. Ayan. Taasan pa natin yung field of view para kitang-kita talaga yung chromatic aberration dito sa part na to. So what we can do to have the effect, only affect a certain part of the layers to create, again, we create a mask. So we create a kind of a circular mask dito sa gitna ng left martin and ng right martin. And then we're gonna add a feather again to make it blend in with the background. Pero as you can see, sa labas ng layer, makikita natin yung green and yung blue layers na lang, kaya siya naging teal. So what we can do to remove that is to go to the effects property of the optics compensation. And then dito sa compositing options, you have to click plus. Ayan. So basically, yung chromatic aberration effect will only affect the mask that we created kanina. And then from there, we have to keyframe the effect opacity para during the initial separation, dun lang magte-take effect yung chromatic aberration. So gusto natin syempre here, 100% siya. May chromatic aberration at this point. And then when they fully separate, wala nang chromatic aberration. So yeah, it adds more life, more techiness to the effect, diba? Kaysa yung kanina, yung wala pang chromatic aberration. And another thing that we can do to make the effect more lively and more realistic is to add lens flare and camera movement. So let's pre-comp the 3 layers. And then click P to open up the position property. And then I'll click the stopwatch so that will go to this expression. So that we'll be able to see the expression of the position property. So we have to type in wiggle, open parentheses, 10, comma, let's say 50. The wiggle effect makes the property that we applied the wiggle effect to move. So since we created the wiggle effect for the position, mag-move siya randomly. So the first number indicates the frequency, kung gaano karaming beses siya mag-move. And then the second number indicates the value, kung gaano kalaki yung movement niya. Pero gusto lang naman natin na mag-wiggle siya at the time na nagse-separate siya. So what we have to do is to add a slider control effect. And then we have to highlight the second number and then click this pick whip and then drag it to the slider. Para yung amplitude value, gagayahin niya parati kung ano man yung nakalagay sa slider. And then the slider number, pwede kasi natin siya i-keyframe and i-change over time. So, at this moment wherein magsa-separate na sila, we can keyframe the slider from 0 to, since sobrang taas yung 50 kanina, maybe we can do it at 20 muna. And then, after na mag-separate, magiging 0 ulit. Para hindi na sila nag-wiggle, diba? So since wini-wiggle natin yung video, nagkakaroon ng black edges dito sa sides ng video. So what we can do is to add a motion tile effect to the layer. And then increase the output width to about 150 and the output height. And then check mirror edges. And what this does is, mini-mirror niya yung edges ng layer. So ito yung dulo ng layer, gagayahin niya para magmumukhang pareha siya. Kahit gumalaw siya, may konting layer pa rin sa labas ng video na hindi naman talaga nandyan, pero mini-mirror lang niya yung current video. And then last, what we can do is to also add a lens flare to the video. Just play around with the properties of the lens flare. So syempre gusto natin yung lens flare dito sa pinakagitna nila. And then what we can do is keyframe the center of the lens flare kung saan yung center ng ulo nila or kung saan sila lalabas. So dito. And then also we can keyframe the blend with original. There we go. Happy New Year, guys! And since New Year na, meron na rin, hey, new me. Hey! And we're gonna show you how you can do it yourself in After Effects. And we're starting. So that's basically it. If you want to learn more about Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe After Effects, or Adobe Lightroom, then hit the like and subscribe button down below. And you can also check out my other videos right here. Click, click. Click, click. Ding. Thank you.